Well, hello, welcome this morning. You're with Michael Crosby. Well, this morning, let's talk a little bit about how the fact is you could just look at images of our cities and towns and see that cities are basically disintegrating, that homeless problems are becoming worse, that our educational system has failed us, it's poisoned. Our leadership has no solutions for an available automatic opportunity, which is anti-constitutional. Our Constitution originally empowered basically surveyor's office. There was always an opportunity. You would just go to the surveyor's office and read what the opportunities were. Now, some people say some of these things kind of exist in some ways. Like if you're a farmer, sometimes there's kind of sort of these places. They're like farm bureaus. You go down there and there's these different opportunities you can see. For acquiring land, for getting money for seed, to plant, various types of opportunities where you can fill out a bunch of paperwork and get things done. And with the original opportunities, a lot of them was frontier opportunities. They wanted you to, in other words, there's land, you could just go stake it out. They had maps. And this was an ongoing thing, but it was kind of frontierism. They wanted you to go out, you had to develop remote or whatever. So this is something that kept changing and got more and more elaborate over the years because people would get further and further away from main civilized areas with these processes. But there were other processes, so depending on logistically where you picked or where you were at, and if you studied all the maps right, you'd understand there was other opportunities in play to be able to get stimulus for building sawmills, a lumber mill, to build a furniture factory, to build all of these different things that the government knew we were going to be in need of, and there was basically financing available for you. And financing was not based upon a credit rating. That didn't exist. It was based upon you would get the money in the increments, and the project would be inspected as they go, basically. In some ways, if you're a developer and you have completion bond insurance, that's a series of understandings of that. No matter what goes wrong, the money's there to bring another expert in and somebody to control everything and assist either you or the new person that has to step in to take control of the projects, which usually was amidst the chosen contractors that were being utilized by the developer. So in many ways, we have a modern version of this. You can, I got a bunch of stuff where I miniaturized and wrapped everything together, and it's just a nice little insurance package. It's really, really nice. Where basically, it's going to get even more simplified. I've done some work. I'm only part of the way through it, converting everything into blockchain and into new types of automated systems and the use of drones to come out and do appraisals and all this other stuff. But today, as it is, we have no centralized opportunity site location. In other words, you can't go onto the web and say, yeah, here's a centralized opportunity. And it's a tree and a series of options where you can look at all these opportunities that are guaranteed. So here we are in the here and the now. Christianity's been banned. And there's a lot of people that are just completely lost. They go, Christianity was banned? Yeah, it's been quite a while now. You have a lot of people waiting for the restoration. They're waiting for the restoral of Christianity. And if your brain at the moment as you're hearing this doesn't understand, let me walk you through part of it real simple. At the most basic cog simplicity level, Christianity, American Christianity, which is an offshoot of true Christianity, but American Christianity, which is not the Church of Europe, It is American belief systems, those who came to practice free faith. There are many types of free faith, but a lot of people came to practice true Christianity. And a lot of people, they're confused over what that is and what the main components are. Let me help you out with some of the main components. Let's just go to the great motivators. If we start at the great motivators, everybody needs food and water and shelter. Well, Christ the carpenter, if you're practicing original American Christianity, you are allowed to build your own home with your own hands at any moment. Communities would help each other, barn raising, stuff like that. The government used to guarantee backing for construction. Why? Because the government would print money on the new created asset. It was the number one way for them to make money. You can make way more money off of people working as a carpenter making their own buildings than you can taxing people. Again, this is one of the things that was known, part of the original revolution. We wanted no taxes. We wanted 100% growth only concept. Stimulus, stimulus, build, build, build. So Christianity, as it is for quite a while, has a lot of things where it's illegal. It's against the law to be a Christian. And because you're not allowed to be the most basic Christian and say, yeah, I want to build my own home with my own hands, and you can't be taxed. You see, it's heresy. It's against religious rights to tax somebody on building their own home or their own home. It's not something of Caesar. Caesar's face is on money, and if you're using Caesar's money to make money, then Caesar has a right to extract usage tax for managing and controlling and creating of the currency to begin with. It's a system. It's like if you understand crypto, how people manage crypto, and there's different things, so people who have crypto have these different hidden charges. Well, they're like Caesar, but so what's happened is we have this major malfunction in our society that is taxing people unfairly for things that they have no right to tax people for. It's a violation of church and state. It's a violation of people's personal faith to tax them for home building. That's an illegal concept because the government already extracted vast amounts of money when the asset was made to begin with. Vast amounts of money. So they're involved in this very evil, super over compounding taxation, and it's destroying all of our country. And people don't understand this. Let me explain this to some of you that are slow. Today, if you were to build a house that's retail is worth $300,000, let's say it's on the coast, California, New York, whatever, someplace thereabouts in that zone. And I don't want to get with you people saying, oh no, my rent district, let's not go there. I understand there's the higher rent districts, the 6K, 8K homes. Yeah, okay, fine, okay. But if you're building a 300K home, it's going to cost you, say, $210,000 total if you paid all the labor and everything. That's the land, the labor, the materials, everything. But there's new creation out of it. You have a guaranteed built-in of like $90,000 pure brand new asset creation in valuation between wholesale versus retail. And I keep explaining this in my other talks, and there's just all these people, they just never got it. They don't understand. They don't teach this in school. This was a standard teaching evaluation, original constitutional mindsets that always developing real estate, always developing hard assets was something the government would be able to print money. That's how the government got money. The government also would control the money and monitor any problematic situation. And that would deal like with banks. The banks had to report all the interest they were collecting because the government had to print a matching amount of money as a separate factor, completely separate factor of any interest that is charged, because that's pulling in. That's a design mechanism to pull in extra cash, as though you were printing it. So you can't allow that. That's going to imbalance the market. So the government has to print. So every time the banks make interest, whatever the banks make, a matching amount of currency is printed by the federal government. See, people are not understanding this, So, so if you're borrowing money from a bank privately to build your own home, you not only have the home asset that the government's going to collect money on, the government's going to print a matching amount of money on all of the interest you paid. So if the price of the home actually doubles in value from back toe of interest charges, that means that the government printed a matching amount of money. Because if the government does not do this, then the banks end up harvesting all the cash and nobody's got money. It's a math thing. So this is an enormous amount of money. If you buy a $700,000 home and you built it yourself, that means the government printed $180,000 off of you making the home to begin with. Then, if you were borrowing the money from a bank, a regular bank situation with, high interest, you have to figure out the total payout, like on a 30-year. So if the 30-year payout ends up having you pay back on that, you might have $1 million to $1.2 million total pay, half of which is interest, which means that you've doubled the price. So if you borrowed $420,000, the government, that gets more than that gets charged in interest and compounding by the bank, and the government also prints that. So the government's going to print 180 and the 420. So the government's going to print $700,000. Now, so you need to work this on a table so you can understand how the government's making money. How it's getting a hold of money to facilitate everything, to be able to counterbalance things. So now you have to ask yourself, why would you deal with petty taxation issues? That's lunacy. That is complete and utter lunacy. And, the complexities of explaining what went wrong on all the malfunctions, that's a long series of arguments. But if you can now understand how certain physics work, and they'll lie about it, but it's the truth. What I just told you is the truth. So, these things are important to understand. The government's already gets theirs. They've been getting theirs. See, promoting dead-end education to produce burger flippers doesn't make the government money. It creates wage slaves. It destroys cities and entire communities and the nation. It destroys the nation. And the only people who get to harvest and really make a lot of money off of it, for the most part, are either financiers that loan you money, various types of loan. Anytime you pay interest, all the interest you pay, the government will print a matching amount for themselves, because that's a new creation of money. Keep that in mind. So if keep that in mind. But other people become the harvesters of all the opportunity, and they're the one making all the profit. This is how you have people that work for 42 years. It's still not ready for them to retire. They've worked 42 years, and maybe they're, 58 years old, 60 years old, and they're not ready to retire yet. Maybe they were 60, not quite ready to hit retirement yet, and they have no money. They're an apartment dweller. They have nothing. You go through and their furniture is 7 years old. It might as well be thrown in the trash, but it's all they have. It's all they have. And they've been riding the roller coaster of life. And it goes up and down, and there's tragedies and things happen. These things happen. This is life for many people. So they have nothing. But understanding how the government has pulled vast sums of money and how the back toe works is understanding how you're being cheated and how people in government intentionally basically converted everything into wage slavery. But it's not just the government. Why did the government do it? Well, the government did it because of elected people. And elected people were promoted by other parties. So that's when you have to understand who's promoting who. And what is the underlying thing? Who's making money and how are they making money? So this is one of these things where, you have to, there's an argument about, well, how far back was it that Christianity was actually banned in America? Because again, basic Christianity is that, you follow me, I am the carpenter, and you shall have 100 homes. He's a carpenter. He's going to show you how to fish. He's going to show you how to build. So as you walk forward in Christianity, you were a fisher person. You understand how to fish. You understand how to make a pond. You understand how to do farm. Most people understood something about farming to begin with, and you understand about building. So in our nation, our contract is supposed to be that it's illegal to tax personalized housing. It's an illegal concept. There's all these early violations that started up involving taxation because the vast sums of money that the government was getting apparently still weren't enough. How greed is greedy? How much foam is coming out of their mouth repeatedly? Just sit down over the numbers that I've already spoken about and start working those and see how much money the government's getting. See how much money it is and how they're getting the money. And then they're going to talk about, oh, well, we have to do this or that. We have a budget problem. So don't talk about one little issue or another little issue. Look at the big picture for a moment. Understand the vastness of this. Now, our forefathers stated and put into effect and said, no, we want to back people. We had the surveyor's office. We want to back people in building and construction because every time they build something, we make more money off of what you can build in a year than off of what we could tax you if you're a burger flipper for 30, 40, 50 years. So, you have to look at these big numbers and how they go down. Because this is, I've had people walk at me, oh, this is so eye-opening. I never understood math this way. Yeah, this is supposed to be basic math understanding. This is a 101 course. And it's forgotten. Again, Christianity's been banned. You are not allowed to follow the carpenter and build your own home with your own hands. They have this huge chicanery and all these other things, and they'll stand up and say, "Oh yeah, you're allowed to do that." How many places? You go to California. Oh, well, you have to pay $42,000 minimum as a permit. I flip burgers, but I want to build my own house part-time. Would you explain how you came to the conclusion that somehow you thought that me having carpentry skills already since I was 12 or 14 years old, since I'm one of the few people that my parents instilled with the capability, but there's no jobs available, I have to go flip burgers, and you're telling me you want $42,000. You look at Los Angeles, 494,000, I think it is, 500 grand. In money for schooling to produce burger flippers. Vast poison. The entire ignoring of the truth has cities crumbling and vast communities of people building up that have nothing. Nothing. You just end up with homeless because there's no longer any opportunity. They have shut down opportunity. Well, who are these people that shut down opportunity? Why did they make those decisions? Why did they ban Christianity? So again, at the most important core levels, you have people that have been through this horrible, Holocaust and this horrible tribulation, fighting for many, many years, trying to finally bring an end and restore the Constitution of the United States and restore Christianity again. And this is a really big thing when you look at the basic, simplest mathematical understanding of the money, who got the money, how much money did they get, how did they get the money, and then understand that what ends up happening is a system of education gets built that's full of flaws. It's mentally ill. It's corrupt. So what happens? The government hires people that get certified from going through an educational system that's corrupt and mentally ill. So this is who they're hiring. So people are doing work in government, making statistics and doing evaluations, and they're incompetent. They're corrupt or they're mentally ill. So you can't get a real understanding of what the true equations are because they refuse to follow truth. They refuse to follow any form of mathematical constitutionality. It's just all been lost. As somebody who works with computers, doing certain custom designs for my in-house use and archival use, working for the right time to release the language models, because in the wrong hands they can be very dangerous. So there's a lot of reasons of why certain things haven't been made ready for release, because people will abuse it. They'll use it as a weapon to attack people and destroy their lives even more. So as we have these people in government, they're not capable of producing the solutions that are necessary, or they're refusing to produce those solutions. So they're either mentally ill or they're corrupt or they're incompetent or something. So this continuous refueling of hiring people, from a poison system that just got poisoned more and more and more each year. I mean, again, look at Los Angeles here, right? $500,000, 13 years of schooling. That's K through 12. 13 years of schooling, okay. $500,000 spent. They're producing burger flippers. When you look at the budget of how the money's spent, half the money never makes it to the school. It's taken away by a bunch of strange hierarchical management. Even though federal government standards say you have to make one of these choices. It's eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or you don't get federal money. So it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo, basically. Your teachers, I guarantee you, your teachers and your heads of departments at the schools, these are the people that actually really know what's going on. These are the people who actually really teach you. These are the people that put forward the question and say, we need these resources to do this course. These are the people that know what's going on. These are really the people who know what's going on in education. And these are the people that keep going and saying, well, we would like to do this in the hierarchical system, from people who aren't on the campus go, no, we can't allow you to do that. We're engineering a different vision. And as we can see over the last 30 years, the vision that they have engineered produces burger flippers. So if you restore Christianity, it's just the most basic understanding of Christianity. You're talking about returning the teaching for 12-year-olds to 14-year-olds, how to be carpenters, how to build their own house. Why? It used to be, please, people understand, it was mandatory. You had to do this or you would die. This was part of civilization. Please, I don't want to hear a bunch of ridiculously stupid excuses. Historically, you had to do this or you would die. There was no choice. So I don't want to hear stupid arguments coming from people that are ignorant. I don't care how many sheepskins they're going to show you. They're lying, or they're mentally ill, or they're corrupt, or something. So restoring the most basic understanding with the 500,000 comes up with a real easy series of formulas that I came up with. That means 18 years old, you're graduating. You either have assets or money in combination, or one way or the other, $1.2 million. and you're bankable at a minimum startup of about 240 grand a year, 200 grand. So this is original Christianity. This is original constitutional Christianity in this country, and original set faiths, because basically many other faiths also encompass the base understanding that you build your own home with your own hand. I don't care, most religions have this. Most cultures had this. Indians, everybody had this for the most part. So how we can have a system where these people are so incompetent they don't understand how to invest $500,000 into children who have bankable labor. Their label's bankable. They have a future. Their labor is bankable. You could borrow money against it. People have been doing it for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Your label is your labor is bankable. It's supposed to be. And so is children's labor. They're not stupid. They can do things. They have an imposable thumb. Hello. They can handle a handsaw, if they're taught. So yeah, basically restoring the most basic understanding in hard asset construction is a massive restore plan. That's why my plan as a presidential candidate brings forward a way to pay off the complete national debt in 3 to 3.5 years, repair Social Security, increase it by 400%, allow a new future that within 5 years we would then have a situation where people only wanted to work 5 years and retire. They could. I don't see why they'd want to. I mean, I'd always want to keep doing something. So just understanding the most basic math and stopping the lies and making the decision to say, yeah, let's restore the Constitution. Let's restore Christianity. Let's restore the beginning of the most basic religious freedoms and basic human rights that people would have. So that's the morning message we'll start off with, because that's a series of mathematics equations and understanding. You can sit down, break out that 90-cent calculator that came from one of those stores that's probably out of business, and sit there and work with those numbers and see how I'm telling the truth. Just use that, and see that. I want to thank you for your time, Michael Crosby. And yes, I am running for office.